Hey everyone, welcome to the Farmer Wants a Wife Afterparty. I'm your host, Stephanie Spiker, and as always, we've got to talk about everything that happened this week in episode 5. I'm joined again by Candace Wierzbowski.
Hello.
And Lindsay Yoder.
Hello.
And we've given Travis a little break, but don't worry, he'll be back eventually. But we do have a very special guest with us, Lancaster Farming's executive editor, Steve Sieber.
I'm no Travis. Sorry.
So, much like in last week's episode, the majority of this episode took place at the barn dance, but at least finally we got a little bit more, and they did go on their solo dates. So, before we dive into the dates, let's go into the drama at the dance. Again, part 2. We gotta start with Samantha, our girl. Honestly, first, I was a little surprised to actually see her leave. I think we all kind of thought once she talked to John, she would just decide to stay. I was way more surprised, though, that John didn't even, a little bit try to fight for her to stay. He literally used the phrase, Samantha's perfect. And then he was just kind of like, oh, okay.
Because he's a robot. The man has no emotions. We've covered this. And yeah, I think that this was kind of her final gambit. I don't think it worked out for her. I think that she wasn't going to let on about it in front of the cameras, but obviously she must have been disappointed. And yeah, I think she was hoping that maybe he would finally open up, because she really opened up. She was telling him, this is how I feel about you. I like you. Which, side note, when she said, you're one of the most fiercely loyal people I've ever met. I was like, how can you tell?
Yeah, and again, it's like her whole thing is loyalty, over and over again. That's come up, but
right. But she put herself out there, and he gave her nothing in return. And I think that's when she was like, "All right, I'm done here because you're not willing to meet me where I am." And it was awful. Afterwards, he's like, "It's been real," was his response. I was like, he must be hurting inside. He has said, like you said, that she was his absolute favorite. She asked for a hug, and he said, "Oh, you need one?" It's like, what is wrong with this guy?
I will say the first thing I wrote down on my notes this week was, I'm starting to get on board with John being a robot.
I was surprised that he didn't seem to be willing to do anything to try and convince her to stay, which in a sense, I was like, well, if he's like, okay, yeah, I really don't want to cede any of the control of my future. So maybe he was just like, okay, if you really feel like you can't get on board with what I want to do, then maybe you should go. But yeah, considering the way he was talking about her recently, I expected, and I think maybe Samantha expected and hoped, that he would at least seem a little bit perturbed that she was leaving.
Right. Show any emotion.
Steve? I like John. I feel like I'm watching an episode of Magnum P.I. with him. Great mustache. But yeah, I thought the honesty from Samantha was perfect. I mean, cut bait and move on if it's not working out. So I admire that.
I will say it kind of felt like a little bit, because she was saying you're fiercely loyal and you're everything I've been looking for, whatever she said. And then she's like, but I just don't think I'm what you're looking for. And I'm like, are you just kind of, I don't know, self-sabotaging? Or in a way, I wonder if she really wanted reassurance from him. Mm-hmm. And so she kind of dangled this in front of him as a layup for him to be like, oh no, you're great. I think you'd fit so well. And then he literally was just like, okay, bye.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what it was.
Yeah.
She was fishing for a compliment or anything to show her that he was invested in this at all. And it's kind of a pity that she didn't realize that this whole time he's been saying to the cameras, I really like Samantha. Samantha's the one.
Yeah, but that's kind of on her. What a kind of manipulative move to make, to basically it's like an ultimatum. Yeah. I'm leaving unless you tell me the things I want to hear right now.
Yeah, but at the same time, he hasn't told her anything.
That is true.
Think it could also be seen as just this is my last ditch effort to see if there's anything here. No? Yeah. All right, I'm gone.
You got a guy with a wall like that. Do you want to spend the rest of your life with him? Communicating with the guy is probably very difficult. She's better off.
Yeah. Not to jump ahead too much too, but when he was on his date with Kaye and she was talking about how in the past she's always felt like she's the one who loves harder than her partners and that she doesn't want to be in that position again, it made me kind of wonder, well, John, are you capable of meeting someone where they are? Because I feel like Kaye is going to wind up in the same place.
You know what? We can jump ahead to that because honestly, I think a lot of this week we're going to talk mostly about their dates because, like, at the end of the day, I think that is where we saw most of the farmers then at this 2-episode long dance, which felt unnecessary, but we'll get to that too. So, yeah, we can start with John's date. I did, I think, predict last week. I'd honestly have to go back and listen. I think I said that John would pick Kaye, mainly because I was like, I feel like we don't know her. I'd like to get to know her. I'm going to be honest, though. Steve, you might not know what this means. Kaylee is giving me pick-me vibes.
Oh. You mean like in an orchard?
No.
Oh.
Like, I guess her whole thing about, was that a good shot? And like, I don't know, her whole little thing. And then she's jumping up and down, very like, yay me, like London Tipton. That seems like no one's going to get that reference either, but that's okay. Like, somebody listening will get that reference. Yeah. I don't know. Am I the only one who got those vibes from her?
I wasn't a huge fan of the personality that did start to come out for her, the way she was like, you ready to get beat by a girl? And then was like, yeah, I don't know what I'm doing. And like the ditzy, I'm sorry, but I can't drive. I went over the curb. Oops. Like,
yeah,
it's
I didn't
not
love
really
that.
Cute. And
yeah. It kind of felt like she was playing dumb on purpose.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry,
Never
she
attractive.
is a nurse. Like, you can't be a complete idiot and be a nurse. Like,
And
there's just no way.
she is the one who was saying, what was it that in the very first, when they were in the soybean field, she's the one who said something about like,
What's a scarecrow?
yeah, it's like they scare crows. Oh, you know,
Yeah,
it's-
I
mean-
don't love that.
In fairness, a golf cart, if you've never driven one, can be difficult to maneuver.
Steve, have you gotten a golf cart stuck before?
Yeah.
I mean, I will say she was a brave one for drinking red wine with a white golfing
All
outfit.
white outfit.
I could never.
Dangerous. But okay, we can actually get into what they talked about because the whole thing about her saying how, I love more all the time. First of all, I have a few thoughts on that, but I'll come back to that. John, the thing he said about like, afterwards, he's like, oh, I don't know, she has a really big heart.
what did he say? He said,
Large.
that was like the follow-up. It was something like, she has a very fragile heart and it's very large.
Very large.
Yeah.
But I think what he honestly was trying to say, very weirdly maybe, was more like, can he meet her where she is?
I don't think he can.
And so I think it almost seemed to me like he already has that figured out that like,
Yeah.
I can't give this girl what she needs in terms of like love and affection, and I'm going to end up hurting her and her large heart.
Yeah, I mean, look, at the end of the day, we realize that John is not actually literally a robot, but he does
don't
seem
know
someone
that, no.
who maybe is a little more reserved in his emotions. And if he's got a woman in front of him saying like, I need someone who's going to like be really, it sounds like demonstrative in his love and like let me know constantly how he feels and make me feel loved all the time. I don't think John is that kind of person.
Did anyone notice how old Kaylee was?
No.
I'd have to look at her
I think
age.
she was 24, but I could be
Okay.
wrong.
Because I feel like, to me, I do get what she's saying about, like, I don't want to feel like I love someone more. Like, I want to feel love. Like, I get that. But I also feel like, especially in, like, a lifetime commitment relationship, things are going to ebb and flow. Like, it's not always, ideally, both people are always giving 100%, but that's never going to be the case. Like, there are going to be days where I feel like you are giving and loving way more than you're receiving, and then it's going to probably switch in a couple weeks. Like, I don't know. I just think...
To me, that screams insecure attachment and a little bit of codependence.
Ooh, we're getting therapy words. Yes.
She said twice, I date to marry. And I think you date to have fun. Like, she's getting way ahead of herself. Like, you got to get to know somebody. I don't know, that's a red flag to me. Plus, Andre the Giant had a big heart, and it cut a very large heart, and it cut his lifespan down. Yeah. So John's got to think about the investment here. How long is she really going to be around with that gigantic heart?
R.I.P. Andre.
Oh, no. Anyone else have anything about their date? We can talk more about their date, or we can move on to another date. How
I mean,
are we
I'll just
feeling?
say it was my, like, of all the dates that happened this week, it was my favorite date in terms of the one I'd actually want to go on.
Interesting. Okay.
I enjoy some competition in my dates. I think it's fun to do things like mini golf or bowling or stuff like that.
That is true. I have learned recently about myself that I say that I'm not competitive. And then, you hand me a Nintendo Switch and we play Mario Kart and suddenly I'm like cursing and throwing things.
So they become a monster.
Yeah. And I don't think I realized that about myself until recently. So apparently I also maybe would enjoy this date. So.
I applaud your new self-knowledge.
But what was the worst date? Taking your date to a football practice? Come on.
So lame.
Okay, yes. Let's talk about Jay. So I feel like when he took Grace to a high school football game for their first date, we were kind of like, oh, this seems like the producers are just pushing the football angle, blah, blah, blah. Like, Jay played football, we get it. But now I'm like, is this still the producers are being like, Jay, your whole life is football? Or is he really, like, maybe we're wrong. Maybe Jay really is just, that is the thing he does the most. And so, like, I get, both with Grace's date and with Karina's date, I get him wanting to be like, football's an important part of my life and, it's important in Alabama or whatever. But this is a first date. Also, these are children. At the end of the day, do children understand that, oh, Coach Jay is living with 4 different women in his house right now? Like, is this your girlfriend? Like, no, she's just one of 4 women living in my house.
Like a producer slipped that kid a 10 after
right? Like, what a strange
comment.
How would you actually explain that to a child? It was a very strange date.
So I have a thought about this. Was it actually a genius move on Jay's part to bring Karina here? Maybe what he wanted to do was to demonstrate how good he is with kids.
That's true, because if you take the date aspect out of it, I was very much swooning over Jay. Just watching it. Maybe.
So that's more like a job interview than a date, right? I think.
Let me demonstrate my skills here.
Right.
The kids love me.
I think that this date actually made sense because when they were talking at the barn dance, she was telling him, I feel like I haven't really gotten to see a lot more of like the side of you that where football's important to you. And I'm a gymnastics coach and I would love to see that. So he may have been like, hey, you're a coach. I'm a coach. Why don't we go hang out and do this coaching thing? I wouldn't want to go on that date, but it seemed like she enjoyed it and enjoyed getting a chance to see a real part of his life as opposed to just going. Well, they did go to a truck bed eventually, but
everyone always does.
Yeah,
that's a fair point though, because they did actively talk about it. So I guess I don't know.
I'm not saying there was no producer influence, but
not what I would say a great first date. But I totally get where you're coming from. I will say though, I was a little surprised. I don't know if I'm surprised that Jay kissed Karina twice this episode. I was a little surprised by how much he went for it at the dance. Like that was like a real kiss. And I'm like, oh, okay, this isn't Colton. Surprise.
I mean, yeah, I guess he's feeling strong about her. I think the bigger shocker to me was how long the editors chose to linger on their kiss in the truck bed. That was veering towards full-on makeout session,
yes.
Which, like, fine if that's how your date's going, but, like, come on, producers. Like, I don't need to watch that for 30 seconds.
I'm going to be honest. It made me respect Samantha's decision of, like, not kissing on camera because watching them kiss for, like, 30 seconds straight, I was like, that seems horrifying to then watch that.
I'm good after, like, 5.
Yourself.
5 seconds is kind of my max. I'm like, I get it. They're kissing.
Yeah.
They like each other. I mean, I will say that I thought that his kiss, Jay's kiss with Karina at the dance, was actually kind of sweet because, like, they were kind of giddy. They just confessed, like, to the fact that, they both like each other. I felt like it was a nice, well-earned kiss. It wasn't one that, like, followed an incredibly cheesy line. So, yeah, that one I didn't mind too much.
I guess Jay did a really good job of following through his player's advice of risen her up. Steve, do you agree?
I don't know what that means.
to be honest, I actually don't either.
Oh, time for a lesson?
Here we go. So I don't know if I would ever use this in a sentence personally, but Riz is short for charisma.
Oh.
But it's like I feel like typically people younger than all of us use it in place of like flirting or like having game, right? Like he has Riz, he rizzes her up. Like,
Okay. I mean,
Steve, do you want to? You can now put that into your daily conversations.
it probably won't be used by me, but I get it.
Should we add it to the Lancaster Farming style book?
It's in the slang for everyone listening. We joke with Steve all the time about him not getting weird slang random terms that I use, and so I'm jokingly creating him basically like a little dictionary of slang terms, and Riz is in there.
Yeah.
So
I like to use these words when I'm like ordering a sub at Jersey Mike's.
What would rizz up a sub entail? Like extra mayo?
At Jersey Mike's has that sauce that they put,
okay.
yeah, please Riz that up. Put some sauce on there. Oh my gosh. If anyone young is listening to us, they're going to turn this off. So we'll move on.
They're full body cringing right now.
All right, let's talk about Matt's date with Alex. Personally, I would prefer going to a vineyard over any of the dates. That was my favorite in terms of like where they were. But I do actually think this was the first time we really saw Matt kind of open up and actually have a real conversation, which was a little nice. It was a nice change of pace. He still is very low key, but I guess that really just is his personality. He's just very chill.
Yeah, he's reserved. He actually came out and said that he is not interested in kissing a lot of the girls, that he would rather wait until he knows who, like, is the person that he wants to pursue. And then he said, like, then she'll have all of me, which I thought was kind of a sweet thing to say.
Cute.
But I respect that.
They're both ready to start making babies. That's what it looks like.
I mean, she will have all of him at that point, so.
Oh, jeez. I will say, though, because, like, Alex specifically, who, I'm going to be honest, before tonight's episode, I didn't know who she was. She got, like, 0 screen time until this week. Like, I had no idea. But anyway, you know, she said a couple times, both at the dance and then, like, to the producers during their date, that, you know, she just kind of wishes he would show a little more affection. And so I do agree with Matt in not wanting to kiss everyone and just wanting to kind of wait till he figures out who is his person and all of that. But I feel like there are ways to show affection to these women that's not kissing them. And I feel like he kind of is giving them nothing.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, he could have, reached out and held her hand while they were walking through the grapes.
Which I guess he did a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe she's just asking for too much. But, like, I don't know.
He reminds me a lot of Alan from season 1 in that way.
Yeah.
Just very reserved, and really it's not in his nature, it seems, to show a lot of physical affection, even like as far as putting his hand on the small of her back or holding her hand or giving them a hug unprompted or something like that.
I don't remember who, but I also think there was a farmer last year that Jennifer Nettles specifically pulled aside and said something about, like, you have to, like, show them that you care about them in some way. I don't remember who it was. Maybe it was Nathan. I don't know. But I feel like Matt could have used a little bit of that at the dance, whether it's Mitchell or, like, Kimberly Williams Paisley or somebody being like, dude, you got to show them that you actually do care that they're here.
Well, Kimberly Williams Paisley needs to get in the game a little more, I think.
Yeah, she's not really doing much.
No.
I really thought, maybe not Brad. I get that Brad didn't want to be there last week to begin with, but I kind of thought that at least she would kind of be there throughout the dance.
Yeah,
And
pulling
she
people
was not.
aside, having conversations. That's what Jennifer Nettles would have done. It's funny. I don't really follow country music. I really only know Jennifer Nettles through her, like, acting career, actually, and from hosting this show. And I have a very, like, positive image of her in my mind because she's always come across very warm and engaging in this show. Whereas Kimberly Williams Paisley, I love the Father of the Bride movies, but this, I'm like, she's not really giving me much.
Wait a second. This show has a host?
Yeah.
You actually didn't see her at all.
No,
so-
she was there.
Oh.
Okay, think back to when we just watched this not that long ago. And they were selecting the women to take on their solo dates. And she was the one who was there being like, Jay, who are you going to take back?
That's really all she did.
That was pretty much it this episode. All right. Anything else about Matt? I feel like it's, poor Matt. he seems like a nice guy. I just feel like there's never really anything to talk about with him.
No, my
other than
notes
last
are
week.
very limited, and half of them are about the fact that his cheese board looked better than John's cheese board when he had his date with Samantha.
I support it.
The last thing I would want to say about Matt is that I don't get any sort of different vibe between him and any of the women. I feel like he acts the same and reacts the same to all of them. I'm not sensing any sort of specific affinity he has for anyone in particular.
Yeah. Okay, this is not actually what I wrote down as a hot take, but I might just do a second hot take right now real quick about Matt. My hot take is we are 5 episodes in, and at this rate, I think he's going to end up alone at the end of this because I don't think he has a strong connection with any of them, and he seems hesitant to really open up. And I think in a show like Farmer Wants a Wife, where it's such a condensed period, if you don't kind of open up and really figure out a connection, you're going to, like, this show's going to end and he's going to be like, you're all lovely, but I don't think it's going to work. And then that's going to be it.
I think he misses his ex-girlfriend. This is all a ploy
That's
to
a
get
hot
her
take.
back. And I'll bet
Very
she's
elaborate ploy.
She's watching the show, I'm sure.
Wow. That might be the hottest take we've had on the podcast.
It's all a setup.
All right. We'll get back to hot takes after we talk about Colton, because
Colton.
I don't even remotely know what to think about Colton sometimes. Like, first of all, the line he used on Zoe at the dance about, like, I'm a pretty bad kisser. Do you want to find out?
It's like he has a book of like bad pickup lines that he's just like going through. I actually have in my notes, like, should we start ranking Colton's worst pickup lines? Because
this would
we've
be
had
my least favorite, I think.
Yeah, I think so, with a bullet. But like, that's what he does. And, I have a lot of thoughts on Colton too. I think that he has some of the tackiest taste I've ever seen in a man. When they went thrift shopping on the date, and
I think that was not a thrift shop.
was
that was
not.
a boutique.
Whatever it was. When he picked out those high-heeled boots that were cow print with like a ton of straps and little silver things on them, and he was like, if I were a woman, I'd be wearing these and walking all over men's dreams.
Yeah,
I was
that's
like,
such a
sir,
wild thing to
those
say.
are the tackiest boots I have ever seen in my life. And then he's like looking at the necklaces with her, and one was like a Coors beer label, and then he gave her like the one that was like a Z on like a piece of like silver plated something with like a little bit of
I'm gonna be
turquoise.
honest, I didn't even notice what it was.
Everything he was pulling out in that shop. And he did say, he's like, what's your style? I think it should be gaudy.
Yeah, what woman wants to be told she's gaudy?
She also seems so taken aback by that. Like,
Because he was insane in that store.
I think he was trying so hard to be just like goofy, funny, but
He
it was
came
just
across
like
unhinged.
it was a lot. It was a lot, and I don't know. You know, okay. I feel like for the listeners, you need a little bit of context in the fact that this is actually the first episode Steve has watched of this whole season. So please give us all of your thoughts about Colton just from one single episode.
He does seem awkward, but he gave Zoe a piggyback ride. That's romantic. I don't know.
What did you think of his line? The like, am I a bad or I'm a bad kisser. You want to see? Which she did not fall for, so kudos to Zoe.
Yeah, that's never going to work. I don't know what he was thinking, but the piggyback is a underappreciated form of transportation. So I applaud that. He also mentioned, she is a nurse, so I liked his line about people in Arkansas always get hurt. So
Oh my gosh.
she has a professional future there.
Wow. I have literally in my notes the words, this man is a dum-dum. Like, but I then was curious. And so while we were prepping for this podcast, I did look up some OSHA data. Oh no. And he's not wrong. Based on OSHA data, Arkansas is the second most dangerous state based on workplace injuries.
Oh.
West Virginia is number 1.
Well, you know what's funny though? First of all, he did say how like, oh, like people get hurt all the time, so you'll always have like work here. But then in the same like, chunk, when he was talking to producers, he's like, she really wants a career and I don't know if she can work here. I'm like, again, do you not? I know Mina's a small town and I'm not that familiar with Arkansas, but I'm sure there is a doctor's office or a hospital somewhere in Arkansas that she could work at.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of odd. I wrote down, I was happy to hear him say that, like, he likes smart women and he seemed impressed by her career. But then, yeah, he started saying, like, I don't know, like, I don't want to stand in the way of her career, which I feel like historically on this show is code for, I don't want a woman who works outside the home. I want someone who's going to be more of a stay-at-home mom. And so, I don't know, I think he was kind of maybe just playing lip service to the fact that, she was upfront. She said that her career is very important to her.
Well, Colton, you'll be happy to hear that according to a very quick Google search, there is a Mina Regional Health System. So I think she'd have somewhere to work.
I have a thought about Colton, which is, I think that he doesn't even realize what he's saying half the time. I think I really think he's just
the
kind
words
of
are just coming
parroting.
out.
Yeah. So when he was having his little moment with Zoe at the barn dance and they were talking and she was like, I want you to know I'm really happy with where I am in my career and everything. And he's like, if you want to do that, I would help you kick life's ass.
It's a very good Colton impression.
It was just so corny. But then also I wasn't buying it because I was like, we're talking at the beginning about how it's important to you to find someone who wants to be a mother to your son and everything. And I'm not saying that they can't be a mother, but the vibe I've always gotten from him, he wants a football team-sized family. He wants a woman who's going to have a bunch of kids and raise them. And that's okay if he wants that.
But it's okay if he finds a woman who wants that, but I don't think she does.
I don't think she does. And I think he only said that because his immediate thought was, affirm what she's saying so she kisses me.
I think you're completely right.
Interesting.
But you know what? I don't think Zoe is being totally honest either, because after they strolled around his hometown and he said, like, what do you think? And she was like, I don't know. Like, it didn't sound like she loved it.
There was a pause.
Yeah. And then he said, like, well, do you think you could ever move here? And she said, well, I could go for a change. I was like, no, you don't. You don't want this. You don't. You'll not be happy here. So I don't know if she's also like, well, I gotta like stick with this. I gotta stick with the game. I don't know. I don't know what she was thinking.
I will say, I also cannot believe Colton said when she said she's an anesthesiologist and he's like, oh, you put people to sleep. It's like,
and then he said, awesome.
like, it's not euthanasia. Like,
can you imagine if he's really thinking like, oh, that's what she does?
I would really hope his reaction would be different.
Oh, Colton. Yeah. What a guy.
He was a little frisky under the table, too.
Steve, I was really glad that you mentioned his hand being so far up her thigh because I noticed that with Keely as well. When they had their date, it was just like inching up. And I'm like, get your hand closer to the knee, sir.
Yeah, please. I will say, part of me appreciated the fact that, ignoring the dance, because obviously he tried his stupid line at the dance, and good for Zoe for being like, I'm not kissing you here. Good job. But
or just not being like, I'm not going to kiss you after those words left your mouth.
But on their actual date, I am honestly, it's like the bar's on the floor, but like I am impressed that Colton just let it be an emotional connection and just get to know her and be like, wow, I like really like her. But also the best part of this episode was the producers being like, well, you didn't want to sneak a kiss this time?
Yeah, it makes me wonder, too, if, like, he's the kind of person where if it's, like, the girl for right now, he doesn't mind kissing them. But if it's a girl that he's more serious about, he holds off and tries to build a relationship, which might be expecting a little much from Colton. But if that is the case, then I feel like he's heading for a train wreck because she is not his girl. I don't think so. I think the fact that she was so lukewarm on moving to his town, I feel like that's not the direction he needs to be heading in. Her.
Oh, yeah. I could see some potential drama brewing in the future with Bailey. And, like, I don't know. If Bailey gets a hint that Colton's developing a real connection with someone, even if it's not the right fit in the long run, I could see her kind of going a little off the rails.
I agree with you because when he selected Zoe for the date, Bailey said, "It is what it is." And to me, that just falls right in line with the way Colton thinks. I'll bet he uses that phrase a lot. So I'm thinking Colton and Bailey are going to end up together.
Steve. How do you say her name?
Bailey?
No, the girl he selected for the date.
Zoe? What?
Zoe.
Zoe. It's my first show.
Oh, no. I kind of love the name Zoe, though. Really left of center.
Maybe Steve and Zoe are just so tight that they're on a nickname basis.
In fairness, my 10th grade girlfriend's name was Zoe.
Okay. Was it really? Short for Zoe?
No, just Zoe.
I'm not 100% sure right now, everyone, if Steve is messing with us.
It's true. I'll get my yearbook.
It may have been spelled soap.
It's a real name.
Oh my god. Wait, did you maybe just say the wrong name every day to your girlfriend?
She just never corrected you.
Maybe she thought you were like giving her a cute little nickname.
Oh no, Steve.
We're just teasing you, Steve.
Steve is never going to come back to the show, everybody. Sorry.
I wrote Zoe.
That's how it's spelled
correct. Yeah.
There's no
It's
Y,
not like-
but
it's
it's
not like-
pronounced Zoe.
Yeah, it's not like
Zoe.
toe.
Okay.
Oh no.
All right, my bad. I still think Colton and Bailey are going to end up together.
All right.
Did I say Bailey right?
Yeah, that
Okay.
was good. Okay. Let's get into hot takes. I don't actually know if this is a hot take because I think, especially the ones here who have watched the whole season, I think you're going to agree with me. So maybe it's not a hot take, but I think this year the editing and production choices are really bad. Like the episodes either are feeling very hectic and disjointed and all over the place, or like episodes 4 and 5, they are dragging out things that don't need to be drug out, as in the barn dance. Why did we need 2 episodes of this?
How that barn dance seemed like it went on forever.
Yeah. And yes, there was a lot of drama at the barn dance, but we did not need it for 2 whole episodes. And then also, by the time they got to the dates, I felt like they had to be kind of compact then to get in the episode. I don't know.
Can I ask though, like if you were an editor or producer, what would you have cut from the barn dance to make it more condensed?
Well, I just feel like, first of all, the conversation about Halle and Matt should have happened long before the dance. I do really think that was producer shenanigans, that they wouldn't let them have this discussion at his farm. So I would have had that happen earlier, like have them confront them right away when all of this is going down, and then take that whole drama out of the barn dance. And that would have at least saved some time. I know they weren't really there for much, but I don't think Mitchell and Sydney needed to be there at all. Take that out.
I will say, Mitchell gives better dating advice than Brad Paisley.
Oh, yeah. I'll give him that. When he finally actually did talk to the farmers, I appreciated what he said. I will give him that. But I don't know. Maybe you're right. Maybe it's just like way too much happened at this dance and we have to show it all.
Yeah.
But it just felt really drawn out to me to do 2 episodes of it.
Yeah, I think it could have been tightened up. And especially because then in between the commercial breaks, it kept repeating it, which I know they have to do that, but it's like we saw it in the last episode as well. So, did we really need all the extra lead up of Samantha saying she's going to leave? And then there was just, they could have tightened it, I think. There was a lot of filler.
Because it's been since, at least episode 3 or even before, since we've really seen the women, I think it was episode 3, the last time we actually saw the women do anything on the farms.
Yeah.
This is Farmer One's wife. Put them in a field.
We did learn that John is clearly the best dancer.
That little boogie that he did had me on the floor. I loved it.
Who has the ability to create a GIF of something? Because that is what I want. I want just him shimmying as a GIF, and I just want to post it everywhere.
It should be known. I think we all just did like a little boogie
little
in our
shimmy in here.
seats.
All right. Does anyone have any hot takes?
I do. I think that I agree. Yes, I think the whole Halle drama was producer shenanigans, and I think that Halle is a lot more beloved on this show than the producers are letting us see. And I think that because she has been serving as like a therapist now for multiple girls at this dance. We saw her comforting and advising Samantha last episode. This episode, Tiana turned to her. And I think it's very interesting. I think it says a lot about who Halle probably is. If she is this woman that all these other women are going to talk through their feelings, I think Halle is an awesome person. Just, I don't know if that qualifies for a hot take or not. And I think that she's getting some kind of weird edit because the producers don't know what to make of her.
I wonder if she's getting that edit also partially because there is just nothing really happening at Matt's farm in terms of like drama or juiciness or whatever. So it was kind of like, oh, here's our moment. We have a big thing going on at Matt's farm.
Yeah.
But I agree with your hot take.
Yeah. Halle is my new favorite. Now that Sam has sadly left us, we'll pour one out for Samantha. I think Halle is now my new favorite person on this show.
Gosh, do I? I don't even know if I have a favorite of the women. Now I'd really have to think about that. Oh, it's probably still Grace. I just think she's the sweetest. Do you have a hot take, Lindsay?
Unfortunately, I don't have a hot take. I don't really have a spicy opinion, but I really enjoy seeing the women interacting with each other, and I think I wish we got more of that. Like, I wish we could see more of the personalities between them, you know, in the house, because then we would get to know them a little more. Like with Alex, today's the first time that, well, this episode's the first time that, I don't know, I feel like I even heard her speak 2 sentences. So if we were seeing just a little bit more of the background of the vibe in the houses, we just feel a little bit more like we got to know them. And the same with how none of us had any idea what was going on with Tiana. I mean, allegedly, but I'm prone to believe that the other ladies are telling the truth. I think that would, if they were looking for things to spice things up or create more content, it's like just show us the ladies all hanging out in the house and talking.
Yeah, it's a good point. I didn't give you warning in advance that we do hot takes, so do you have a hot take?
Yeah, I don't know if this qualifies, but I totally disagree with Samantha. 2 people can be in the driver's seat. When she left John, you know, they're both drivers, and that wasn't going to work out. But that's how I learned to drive, sitting on Dad's lap in the driver's seat. So I'm going to disagree. 2 people can be in the driver's seat.
We've had similar opinions over the last few episodes here. I don't think any of us went to like, I'm sitting on someone's lap and we're both driving together. But yeah, we agree that there shouldn't be one person in control the whole time.
Yeah. As you maybe have figured out, the whole analogy of like having the wheel and driving has been brought up in that show 100 times. Not really, but a lot.
I feel like it's this season's He's a Real Man.
Oh, that's true. Maybe it is. I want to be in the driver's seat. Okay, before we wrap up, let's talk a little bit about the previews for next week. The moms are apparently making some kind of a selection. It seems like then, I mean, this was a kind of short preview that didn't really show that much, but from what I got from it, the moms of all the farmers got to pick a lady from, I guess, the producers gave them a selection or something. Then the farmers are going to go on a date with this woman. And then it seems like they, as the farmers, have a choice whether or not to bring this woman back to the farm. So for those of you listening who have watched season 2, it's kind of similar to what they did in season 2, except it's like mother's choice. And I am intrigued by that. I will say, my mom listens to this, so maybe I should be careful. I love my mom. But I don't think that she would necessarily be the best person to hand select someone for me to be with. No, I really don't. And I think she agrees. So hopefully, sorry, Mom.
Now, my mom doesn't listen to this, and I can tell you for sure that she would not be a good person to pick someone for me. My mom and I have very, I think, different opinions about what we find attractive or, like, engaging in a man. So I feel you.
It will be interesting to see this. And part of me feels a little bit like on Matt's farm, for instance, he still has 4 ladies there. And I don't think that all of them have yet gotten a fair shake. And so now they're going to bring somebody else in potentially who he's also going to be like, she's really nice. Like, how is this going to add,
what
you
Matt
know?
will say.
Yeah. But at the same time, I mean, you know, I'm always up for whatever adds some drama and, you know, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I do wonder now, like, is it too early to bring in a shakeup? Other than John's farm, right? They all still have 4, I think.
I think so. I think he's the only one with
3.
Wait, does he have 3?
Because he sent home, what was her name? Chloe? Mm-hmm. And then Samantha went home.
Oh, you're right. Yep. Yeah. So,
So
he does
John's
have
down
3
to
now.
3. I think everyone else still has 4. So it's like, why potentially bring it back to 5? That feels too soon to do this. You watched last season, Steve, right?
Yeah.
All right. What are your thoughts of them bringing in, specifically mothers bringing in a new lady?
I think the moms are there to embarrass their sons and to make the women uncomfortable. And that will be the entertainment for next week.
That's true. Steve, would you let your mom pick a lady for you?
Yeah, I would.
Hesitation.
I would, just to humor my mom, because to do otherwise would just create more drama.
Oh, that's a good point, though. So if the farmers go on the dates with these women that their mom picked and they don't really see anything, but is it going to be like a situation where it's like, if I don't bring her back to the farm, my mom's going to be upset. Like, I should just do this because this is who mom likes.
Yeah. That's going to be the situation with Jay, who is very much a mama's boy. And I've been waiting for Jay's mom to make an appearance because he's made it very clear that he holds her opinion very dearly. And so I feel like unless whoever his mom picks shows up at that date and, like, I don't know, like, abuses the waiter and, like, acts horribly.
Or says she hates football.
Oh, or that even. She's coming back to Jay's farm. I feel like there's
it's
no
an
way
Ohio
he's not going to
State
be like,
fan?
my mom has approved this. I can't
what did you
speak
say?
to that. I don't care about college
I
football.
said, Jay went to Michigan. I said, for those of you who don't care about college football, Michigan and Ohio State hate each other and are huge rivals. So it'd be really funny if Jay's date is an Ohio State fan. It'd be funny for me as a Penn State fan to just watch this play out.
I would rather see what they did in season 1, and maybe they did this in season 2 also, where they just brought the moms on to meet the ladies who are left.
Yeah.
Because I would rather, now we've gotten to know these ladies, and I would rather hear the mom's take on them than this random person who I'm guessing is somebody from the pool of applicants who the guys didn't choose for their speed dates. That would be my
I don't
thought.
think the mom's like picking random girls off the
Random
street.
girls off the street.
I met
Hey,
this
honey,
lady
come
at
on
the
in.
park, you know.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a chaos move that they're doing.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you. It would be nice. I mean, I wonder if, like, on Matt's farm, if Matt's mom would come on, meet Halle, and just be like, she's too good for you. Sorry.
Yeah.
That's my hot take. Halle is too good
too
for
good
Matt.
for Matt.
She deserves better.
Is there any couple that really stands out to anyone as potentially going the long run?
I still think Jay and Grace.
I
I mean, I
agree with
know
that.
he's really hitting it off with Karina, but I think Jay and Grace are perfect for each other.
Because I agree with Jay and Grace. I love them together. I could see Colton and Bailey ending up together, not for like the long run, but just like they would date for a few months and have fun. I really, right now, for both John and Matt, do not see them with anybody.
Same. You have any thoughts, Steve?
I'm sticking with Matt's ex-girlfriend coming back.
Oh my gosh, what if she's the hand-picked person?
Oh my goodness.
That would be huge.
Yeah.
Good ratings.
Yeah. I would also agree with Jay and Grace. I think they seem to have the best ingredients there for a long and happy life. So.
All right. Well, I suppose next week, everyone, there will be probably lots of drama, so get ready. But that's going to wrap us up for today's episode. So thank you all so much for listening to the Farmer Wants a Wife After Party. If you like this episode, please feel free to subscribe. And if you really like this episode, you can maybe leave us a review. You can follow us on social media. We're at Lancaster Farming on most platforms, and we do post some Farmer Wants a Wife content there. If you have any thoughts or opinions that you want to share with us, you have hot takes, you disagree with us, you agree with us, please reach out. You can send us an email at afterparty@lancasterfarming.com. Thank you again for listening, for partying with us. I'm Stephanie.
I'm Candace.
I'm Lindsay.
And I'm Steve.
And we will talk to you all next week. This episode of The Farmer Wants a Wife Afterparty is copyright 2025 by Lancaster Farming Newspapers, part of the Steinman Communications family. It was written by Stephanie Spiker and produced by Eric Herlock, Sophia Curzius, and Justin Berger. The music is by Tin Bird Shadow.